Relax, sit down, coming out of PE town. Drink, find a shot, never mind your liver, get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot!
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot!
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle, have a Gino shot.
Gino shot!
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot!
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot!
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle, get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Gino Spot Tuesday nights, 6:30, every single Tuesday. We do it at 6:30 without fail. And tonight I've just decided we put the guest on immediately. It's Paul Stevens is here from Just Property, and thank you for coming on the show.
Wonderful to be here with you.
You've been on the radar for a while. I said we've had your name, and thank you for taking the time to come out.
It's only a pleasure.
And I must thank the sponsors quickly as well. Obviously, Fitch and Leeds have been our sponsors for now since 2020. We were just saying now 2020 was the first one. We got a little bit of gin and tonic. I think this is the grapefruit one, very nice. And you know, since 2020 they jumped on board, took a bit of a risk on me. You know, I think they didn't know me back then.
Panned out well.
Absolutely, it's been a fantastic relationship we've had with them. Also with our new venue, which is right over here at the bottom, Centre Stage at Bay West. We've been doing our shows there.
Not this venue.
No, not this venue. This is the what the audience can't see.
They can't see the view.
We're looking out the view. We got the whole
Valley.
Barkins Valley.
Beautiful.
Isn't it lovely? Yeah, we can open the door in the summer like this, and it's beautiful.
Wonderful.
And of course Amobia for our internet. Nicola and the guys. Oh, you haven't met Nicola yet. I've got to introduce you guys. And of course, don't forget tonight we have it, and through this thing here, Fat Cats Catering. We'll have to send you home with a bit of supper here. We've got, look at that. She's even heated it up. We've got Prego rolls.
Delicious.
Prego rolls.
Wow.
We got, eh?
That's very good.
And I don't know. She's got like this the whole move going on here, and it's even heating up for us. So thank you, Grace. We love you for this.
Thank you.
She even brought the heaters.
We've
We've
got the
got
plates.
biodegradable plates. You know.
Very impressive.
She's on it. And so thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you to you as well, everybody online, for supporting Gino Spot 2. And thank you very much, Paul, for popping in. It's going to be good to get to know you tonight, I think.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, we dive in, we just dive in.
Go straight in.
I tell you what caught my eye with and reminded me to call you is with on Gino Spot as well. We've also always had this positive thing. It's about building PE. It's about getting PE out there, because I in my heart of hearts feel that PE is a place that is so full of potential. It's got space to grow. It's a friendly place. It's a place where the property prices, and I don't know I'm no property expert, but you'll be able to tell me about where PEs always seem to have been cheaper than other places, other cities, even East London for quite a while. I don't know what it's like now, but PE's always been a cheaper place to live.
Absolutely.
And so you had this article, I think it was Business Tech, and it just jumped out immediately. I saw it I think it was on News 24 or something, and
Early in the year.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I just thought, oh, it's Paul. A semi-gration, PE as a semi-gration destination. I just love that, because
it's happening.
It should be. It
It's
should
happening.
be.
We've got a lot of complexities to go through as a city, but I think it's, just as you said, if you compare it to Cape Town, where the other semi-gration is happening as a city. I mean, let's take East London off, but Durban and Cape Town, those two coastal cities.
Yeah.
Port Elizabeth, from an affordability perspective, just outstrips both of them.
Yes.
We know the Cape, the prices have gone through the roof. So you're seeing actually almost 20% of the buyers in Port Elizabeth itself are coming from either Gauteng or the Western Cape.
Or Western Cape as
Western
well.
Cape in general. Not sure which cities, but I presume a lot of them are coming from the city, so from Cape Town itself.
Yeah.
So a lot of the younger people that have left Port Elizabeth, you can see they're coming back here to have a family, to raise a family, because Port Elizabeth is all about quality of life.
Yeah.
There are very few cities that can brag about a quality of life that we can.
Yeah.
Not just from a financial perspective, but to have young children, to bring them up with really good quality schools.
Schools are
at
the
a-
big
at a-
thing,
at
eh?
a fraction of the price.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to be paying for a good school like Grey College or Collegiate in
Sure.
Cape Town or Joburg or
Yeah.
Durban is probably close to double what you're paying here.
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of PE people realize the value that you get out of a city like this, but the people from outside are starting to have eyes to it.
Starting to see
So you're
that.
getting this influx of people coming from Gauteng that are coming from the Western Cape, and people just think, no, it's the Western Cape. Yes, there's good governance down there, so I think eyes are still there,
Yeah.
but it's become saturated, and the quality of life is no longer there
You know,
because of it.
I mean, we just talking about traffic in Cape Town. It's just completely insane. I mean, you go in there and the traffic is
One of the most congested cities in the world now.
wow.
Yeah, worse than Joburg. Far
Yeah.
worse than Joburg.
It must be. It must be. I mean, okay, Joburg's got the potholes, you know. I mean, things are still
And lack of
happening.
water.
I would imagine things are still happening up in Joburg. So things are still. It's still the hub.
It's still the financial hub of Africa.
Yeah.
But I was reading something earlier this week where there is a massive pull by corporates because a lot of the people have moved down there, the sort of heads of big companies.
Yeah.
So there is a big pull to try and pull headquarters down there. Is it going to be successful? Because there were a lot that moved down to the Western Cape that have relocated back to Joburg.
Oh, okay, over there.
So I think there's a lot of this push-pull. People think that even Johannesburg, people are leaving Johannesburg and moving off to the coast, which is happening. But there is still an influx of people into Joburg.
Yeah.
So remember, we're a country that has always been a displaced country from a population perspective, with lots of people living in your outer-lying rural areas that are all migrating into the cities to try and find work.
Yeah.
And that is our biggest challenge in this country, is employment. So people are all flocking into the cities to try and find employment, to try and live.
But I think that the semi-gration thing is actually it's almost like COVID sort of turbocharged that whole thing, where people discovered they didn't have to work in the office.
Absolutely.
You know, and
And
certain
it
jobs.
still is very much there.
Yeah.
You know, you are hearing a change. I was in America at a real estate conference the week before last in New York, and they are talking about people returning to the office because businesses are starting to find a lack of a culture.
Yeah.
And I think by working isolated, you're isolating yourself and your team from having a common unity and what they call a culture.
Yeah.
So you are starting to see a bit of an element. You're hearing of your big corporates, your Amazons and your Googles that are starting to pull people back into the office. So yes, it's something we've gone and tested and we've gone and seen, and I think you're always going to see a little bit of a hybrid where it's a flexible work environment where people are a lot more flexible in dealing with each employee as a human being and not an employee. And you're treating your staff as an employee and taking each of their case scenarios into account. Like if I've got a single mother who's got to run around with children and do this or that, I've got to be flexible to accommodate that, or else I'm creating a work environment that's not conducive to that person to be productive for work.
It's difficult for somebody who's running a business or so to see those things. I think, kudos because the capitalism thing is just like work as hard as you can, make as much money as you can, don't care about your problems. Come to work, do your job, and bugger off. So many people go with that whole thing, but
Profits before people. And
Yeah.
that is the capitalism way.
But that's probably not a great long-term thing, policy.
We can debate that, and as a business owner, we all have our own views. And to me, my business is all about my people. It doesn't exist without your people. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with the team around you and your people that run the business for you.
Particularly in the property
You're just
trade, I
spearheading
think.
it. Particularly in the property trade, when you are on the ground with your agents are your people. They're the ones that are bringing the business. They're the face of your business. So very much on that front, yes.
And they need to care. They need to feel a part of that sort of family.
They need to more than care, because you're dealing with human beings in probably their most vulnerable state. They are moving home.
Wow.
And a home is a powerful place where a lot happens. And I mean, we underpin our why is about creating wealth through property, which stems far beyond monetary wealth. It's emotional wealth. spiritual wealth, it's your community wealth. You know,
Yeah.
it's multifaceted, that you're living in a community with people, and it's got nothing to do with just money. You're moving into a home that you're going to build your family in, and building your family ties and the socioeconomics around that
Yeah.
are far more important than just the monetary form of wealth.
Yeah, I wouldn't have I thought about it like that in terms of like an estate agent or a person that's selling a house. You're buying a home. You need to look at that person, and are they going to fit in this whole environment? You know, how they're going to do it. So you're right.
It's not just a matter about taking the money off the table. It's a matter about dealing with the sensitivity of a person who's moving home, whether you're a tenant that's moving into a new suburb, a new block of flats.
Yeah.
It's a very, very stressful thing for anyone in their lives when they move. They say it's one of the most stressful things, divorce and moving.
Yeah, that's true. That's
You
true.
know, I've done the latter,
Okay.
and it's tough.
Yeah.
And you know, your average tenant moves. It used to be every 12 months, and it's over the last sort of almost decade, it's moved back to almost 18 months, bordering on 20, 22 months now. But still, the cost of moving a home is exorbitant.
Yeah.
I still can't understand the sense of why do people move so often, but it's our business and we're there to help them with
Yeah.
it. And we're coming back to PE.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, just before we get into other things in business
Yeah,
and things, you know, I think it's so important for your listeners to. I think we've got a lot of PE people in the audience.
For sure. I need to put this microphone a bit closer.
And our business is a national business, and I grew up in the Eastern Free State on a farm.
Yes.
I'm one of those rare breeds in English Free Stater.
Yes, like.
And I ended up here because it was the only varsity that accepted me. And I spent years overseas traveling and came back with a foreign wife to settle. And I chose to come and settle in this town because it's got wonderful people, friendly people that are real, that are humble. And there's lots of opportunity here, I believe.
Yeah.
And that opportunity is generally because lots of people are moaning that there isn't opportunity. But there is. People don't realize what they are sitting on in this town. I don't think. We're sitting on an absolute gem, like you started out with, that hopefully is going to blossom and is not going to stay contracted and never be a butterfly that actually a little worm that becomes a butterfly. Because that is the potential here. And let's just hold thumbs. I think we're in for municipal elections this year.
Yeah.
And let's hope that things change. And that the tide
2025 is
turns,
that municipal elections coming up again.
and that good things come to this town. Because I think, you know, we were speaking about property values and living in a place that is undervalued.
Yeah.
But if we look at the past few years, property values haven't increased in this town. So as property owners, we sit back and we get concerned. We start to think, must I invest more in this city, or do I take my money to the Western Cape?
When was the last time that there was a boom? I remember 1998, 99, 2000.
Yeah, all the way running up to 2007.
Okay,
that was
it
your
was
big
just boom, hey?
And then
So it goes up.
It took a crash.
And then 2007, and then, but it never gets, it's always sort of goes up. It's like, I always describe your a good marriage like that. You have your arguments, you go down, but you always keep improving. You always keep improving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So over time,
Yeah.
as you say, property is a great investment.
Yeah.
You know, if you take it over the long term, it's not a short term thing where, unfortunately, lots of people think that they can make money in the short term. We've come through tides where people could, like we were referring to the 2003 to 2007 bust, where everyone was buying a townhouse, flipping, putting it on the market, selling it for a few $100,000 more. Those days are gone. You need to be buying for the long term and not trying to flip properties unless it's something you really know.
Yeah. If you're good at it,
If you're good at it, you know what you're doing, or
story.
you've got people guiding you, it's great. But PE over the long term, it's an investment, and I think it's a great investment, not just a good investment, a great investment if things turn out
around
well.
Yes.
And it's like I said to you, I think we're on a pendulum.
Okay.
And it can dip slightly further, or we're going to start flying.
Yeah.
And if we start flying, I think we're not going to realize what can happen here with property prices. We've got a long way to go, and there's lots of fat on the bone for people to make. So let's keep our eyes on our municipality and keep our eyes on the governance.
Yeah. those
let's get
investments-
involved.
Those investments that were coming in as well. I know it was mentioned in the article about the I think it was not the smelters and the things coming in there. The
Lots
big
happening.
factory,
Lots happening.
the big factories for Stellantis, I think.
Especially Asia. You know,
Yeah.
they are eyeing PE. There's billions coming into this town. VW, we all know last year it was on the brink of, like, people were quite pessimistic. Is VW going to stay?
Yeah.
And then next thing, there was a whole resurge and a big investment. I forget what the number was, but it was
huge.
huge.
It was huge. Billions, yeah.
Yeah, it was billions.
Yeah.
Which is confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence in the country, confidence in the people. And I think as a people of South Africa, not just PE, we need to be confident about our environment and things happening around us. We need to get involved, and we need to speak confidently.
Yeah.
You know, I've lived overseas. I've lived in really beautiful parts of the world. And as I said to you when we were chatting earlier, there is no better place than this.
Even overseas,
South Africa, even overseas. And I literally lived in parts of the world that were paradise, because I was working on yachts, like many of the youngsters here in PE are busy doing.
Yeah.
And we saw beautiful places.
Yeah.
But this place is beautiful. The people are beautiful. Yeah. And if we get our politics and policies ironed out, we're set to bloom. There's really so much going for it.
And I think, like you say, if everybody is positive, that word spreads. Like, people were thinking, okay, hang on, maybe PE there's something here, you know. If they hear people talking positively about it, it only helps. And there is lots to be positive about for PE. There's so much it's got so much to give, you know. There's lots of space for expansion.
It's got the comedians and
exactly,
the musicians.
Brilliant
and,
comedians, great property
like,
people.
We finally got some great coffee shops.
You know.
There's a whole coffee culture growing.
There is.
And it still is. They called it the 5-minute city. It's now more like a 10-minute city. And crossing Main Road Warmer is quite a hazard.
Yes, it can be. Yeah.
But we still get around easily, and we don't stress about traffic. We don't stress about a lot of things. And I think that's what I love about PE. It's that thing I mentioned earlier, quality of life.
Yes.
That you can't get anywhere. I could not live in Joburg. I could not live in Cape Town. It doesn't matter what happened in my life and business. Yeah. I could maybe move to a smaller town, and I think that's the beauty of Port Elizabeth. Yeah, is to get to a selection of beautiful places. Yeah. You literally drive an hour south, an hour north, or an hour in multiple directions other than the coast, out to sea. Yeah. And you've got a variety of beautiful coastal towns, beautiful forests down in the Tsitsikamma, Bovians Kloof Wilderness area, Addo, lots of other private game reserves, if you can afford to go to those. So we really have a lot to offer here.
Yeah, it's true. Everything's so
very
close.
accessible.
Totally. Everything is so close.
Doesn't take you 3 hours to leave the city on a Friday afternoon, and you're stressed and tired by the time you get there.
You just hit it. And you know, I always say our roads were over-engineered. Our freeways, they're bugging up the beachfront a bit with the freeways, but they work. You know, you get out there. You go to Cape Town. You go to Grahamstown.
I think that was quite strategic.
Yeah.
Just to put a lot of the out-of-towner people off PE for a while. Because you always hear the people from out of town who come on the fly over. They never come into PE. They say, oh, it's so ugly. But it's when you drive into PE and you live here and you can visit beautiful beaches like Sardinia Bay and our wild side. I mean, there's very little like
Maitland's.
that. You can cycle Marine Drive and the Bovians. I mean, our little valley here, Balkans Valley. I mean,
green lung, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I mean, compared to other places, like you're saying, smaller cities, that's actually a very
smaller
point.
towns.
Smaller towns. I mean, if you go from Cape Town side, from Greyton, Hermanus, you know, all those little
they've become very, very big semi-gration spots. Yeah. So going along the coast has been the most saturated. Yeah. And all these little towns, like you're mentioning, Greytown, Tilbach, Ceres, Wellington,
but even Uniondale and those places as well.
You're finding the adventurous are starting to move into those, but it comes slowly. So Carlesdorp, you can see there's a change happening there. So the artists and the eccentric people pull in
Yes.
there first,
Yeah.
and they lead the way. They're the,
The
brave.
hippies.
They're
Go with the
brave.
hippies.
They're the brave, and
They are.
and then slowly everyone else just starts to fill
Yeah.
around them, and yeah. So
I see there's a couple of comments over there. Philip has got. I see Philip Loebscher there from the States, saying hello. He's always online. Philip, nice to see you as well. Lekker. Some of our people
Hello, Philip.
overseas. He was GP here for many years. Yvonne Pierce, how's it? Nice to see you as well. And he said, Peter
Pete
Barnes, lekker polio biscuit.
Are you Pete?
Peter Barnes, of course. I spoke to him. When was it? Yesterday? Day before yesterday. We watched cricket with him,
Yes.
and I'll see him. I think it's not tomorrow, the next night for a wine tasting because he likes his white wine.
Yeah.
as
No,
well.
he likes his white wine.
He does, and then he makes you like it as well because
Yes.
it's consistent.
Yeah. Cheers to you, Pete.
Always filling up your glass.
It's a good man.
And Peter said that you've got because you got Range Rovers, I believe. You had the diesel, and then you said you can't believe you bought the petrol one because it
That's a
must get.
Toyota, not you mustn't insult a Toyota.
Oh really? It's not. You said it must get 1 kilometer per liter to the liter or something.
we won't even go there. It's thirsty.
Oh, excellent.
Like an alcoholic.
Yeah, no, I'm sure a petrolaholic.
Yeah.
And are you in and out from St. Francis and back, or do you stay in St. Francis? Or you stay in PE?
No, we stay here in PE. My son's just finished school in PE. Gray. He's off to study. Well, not to study. To do his yacht master, which is preparing him to go to catch the yachting season in the Mediterranean in May.
Wow.
So basically, that's you can actually get in the sailing field. So we thought, let's get him to do that, so he doesn't have to come back after a few years. He's doing that in Langebaan.
How does a Free Starter get into sailing?
You know, when you grow up in the Free State and you never see the sea. And then I went to school in Natal, and we'd kayak to the sea once in a while, and you get enticed to the sea. And then I was like, no, I need to learn to do everything in the sea, from windsurfing to sailing. The one question we were going to touch on is what is the one thing I did that was maybe stupid in my life. Was a mate of mine from Lesotho. Him and his wife bought a yacht, and they'd never sailed. Yeah. And I'd sailed a little bit as a student here on a racing boat with Anthony Adler.
Wow, the framing guy.
Didn't know much, but knew the front and the back of the boat, the bow and the stern, and could raise a sail, etc. So we decided we're going to take a boat. They bought the boat. They said, Paul, you know how to sail. Let's take the boat to Madagascar. So off we attempted to sail to Madagascar, but needless to say, there was a boat ahead of us that ran aground up in Mozambique, and we were not far off from them. And
So
the whole trip,
rescue operation.
The rescue operation.
No ways. And you've only just done racing.
The whole trip was abandoned, but we spent a few months sailing up the coast to Mozambique, to Bazaruto.
Wow.
And so
what kind of boat is this you're talking about?
it was a 39-foot Lavrana, so it's not a big thing. It's a keel boat, a monohull, an old boat that sadly a farmer and his wife had taken around the world once. And they were about to leave on their second circumnavigation. And their first night out from Richards Bay, he went out for a pee and unfortunately dropped off the back. And with the old life ring that you have, it didn't have a leash underneath you. So if you held on too long, then you couldn't eventually hold on. You'd slip out of it.
Oh, no.
So anyway, his wife lost him, and my mates picked this boat up.
Okay.
And
so it's like one of these boats that sits in someone's yard.
You
see this, they sit in the yard, in the front yard for like 20 years. And
so we were talking about Free Staters loving the ocean,
Yeah.
and I fell in love with the ocean, and having never experienced it as a child. So those of you that live at the coast, you must enjoy it. You must teach your kids to enjoy it. I've tried to entice my kids with no success.
Yeah, okay.
But
now your
I
sons,
love it.
now
From
your
kite
sons,
surfing to windsurfing. tried to do
Done
everything.
everything.
Scuba diving.
Have you done kite surfing?
I've been doing kite surfing for almost 20 years now. Yeah.
Holy crap! Was that with Dave Skinner originally?
Yes.
Okay.
And Chappie.
Chappie.
Yeah,
Oh, Chappie.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were the early guys with lots of injuries.
Yes. Yeah.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Was it-
Nobody
I'm
knew.
sure-
There were no lessons, so you
No.
taught yourself to kite, and you got hurt. And
How the hell?
yeah,
Have
it's
you had
great.
some bad accidents with kite surfing?
I've had bad accidents doing other things, and a couple of cuts and ligaments, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing
So you've been
serious,
lucky.
but I've seen some serious stuff.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that kite can take you over a house.
Yeah, I mean, there's Cape Town. There was actually quite a long time ago, probably 12 years ago, somebody that was lifted off the beach at Bloberg and thrown into, I think it was the third or fourth floor across the road. So I mean, they're wild. Those things, when they're not under control.
Yeah,
and
you got to
lose
know what
control
you're doing.
quickly. Yeah.
Do you know, it's Cedric van der Skrik also.
Yes, he's a very
our
good
age.
kiter. He's a
yeah.
very good kiter.
Yeah.
He lives at Cannon Rocks, and that's what he does. He plays music and he kites.
He just cuts on. We've seen his Instagrams. Said it's phenomenal. I mean, he's just he's kiting all the time.
Yeah, but on his own. So that's a brave soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very brave soul.
That's him. That's him. He's not scared of that.
One of those creatives, huh?
Yeah, and Dave Skinner, obviously the optician, he's been doing my eyes for years as well.
Okay.
Our family, and he was
Still there in Central.
Absolutely, and he was our neighbour for many years while I was growing up.
Okay.
Actually, in Villiers Road there.
Yeah.
And,
He always had the kite shop, and then
yeah,
he
the
moved
kite
off to
shop.
Sardinia Bay.
Yeah, okay.
And he's been living there for
Yeah,
years.
okay, yeah. So anyway, I'm not sure where he is now, but no, he and also a lovely guy. So I remember he was very into the kite surfing.
Yeah.
So you got into it early as well. Gee
Yeah,
whiz.
very early. Having been in windsurfing when I went overseas and coming back, and I had a bad experience with one of our guys on the yacht, an American kid who was like, no, he's bought this kite, and he flew it a bit on the beach in Barcelona before we crossed the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And I could see he didn't really know what he was doing.
Oh,
and then we got to Bermuda, and he asked me to help him launch it off our tender, which we did. And it went very pear, and he broke a couple of ribs. And I was like, okay, this thing looks quite dangerous. So when I came here and I watched the guys with the windsurfers at Miller's, and they were Stephen Atchade.
Chappie.
Our last, we lost old Andrew Johns.
Yeah.
He was a really great water sportsman, and he unfortunately died. Not
not to do with
kite
it,
surfing, but he was a brave soul.
Yeah.
And I watched them, and I was like, wow, this looks like an incredible sport. I want to learn to do that. And it is. It's a wonderful sport.
You got into it properly.
Yeah, and I love it. And I've had my years that I've packed the stuff away. Yeah. And I've said, I've got a few years now to enjoy it. I must get back into it. So I
Now.
made it a goal, and
Now at 55, you know.
Now at 55, and funnily enough, the staff know it, and tomorrow the wind's blowing, and I've put 3 hours in the middle of the day in my calendar blocked out, because I've said, why did I do it when I was young?
Yeah.
Now I'm older.
Yeah.
I don't have to always be at the office because I do work after hours. Let me go and do it. And so it's a goal. So I'm a big person that focuses on goals.
Are you a goal setter?
I'm a goals guy. Yeah, I've always believed in goals. Many years ago, when we came back from sailing, we'd lost most of our money that we made on the yachts, which was a lot of money.
Yeah.
We put it all into stocks, and then it was the 2000 crash, and we were very much invested in
.coms.
.coms, yeah.
Oh, my soul.
And there was a gentleman who wrote a book called Mind Power, a bestseller around the world. He's a Canadian called John Kehoe. And he came and did a talk here in the Feather Market. Mm-hmm. And his protege was with him, who's now Robin Banks, a South African guy who he trained up.
Banks, yes.
And Robin was on the sideline, and anyway, he offered us this course. And I stand to be correct. I think it was £2,500 rand. I came home and I said to my wife, babes, yes, can we spend this money? And she said, go and do it. And I did it, and it was a 4-week course. He was doing it around the country, so he flew in here. Okay. And at the end of it, he said, is there one thing that I've taught you guys that you take away? If there's one thing, there's this one thing that you must hold on to, and that's write your goals down. And I think that was 16 years ago. Yeah. And every year, I've still got my goals dating back to there. I write them down. I print them somewhere. I look at it every year.
Is that a good thing for? So I mean, how do you?
It works for me.
Setting. So you look at your career. You look at what kind of goals do you
So
kind of set for
I
yourself?
break it into 4 things. I mean, I've taken a level further last year where I've got a whole book called Life Book that I've done with my wife, and we get into a lot of detail. There were lots of pictures and so on. I'm a visual guy, not an academic guy.
Yes.
I like
Okay.
to, I
Well,
like
you know,
to,
it
like to
ties
see
in.
pictures.
Yes.
And those pictures eventually make you believe things and make things happen.
Yeah.
From a car you drive to this quality of life you want. Your brain is a powerful thing that you can fool to deliver anything you want it to. And a lot of people don't quite realize that. So he said, write your goals down, which I did. And I promise you that's that one thing that I believe changed my life.
Okay.
And when I was in America 2 weeks ago at this conference, there was a gentleman, Phillips was his surname, Connor Phillips, an American BMX Olympian, who spoke to us. I had a couple of people that weren't real estate people, and I mean, it was something really powerful that I took out of it. He's quite young; he must be in his early 30s.
Sure.
And his first Olympics, I think, was in '98 or something like that, and he came last. And he tells a story with expression in it, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then his second one, he came first.
Sure.
And it was just this high.
Yeah.
And then the next one, he crashed on the first corner, broke a lot of bones, but got head trauma where they thought he wouldn't live. Then they thought he would be a vegetable. He'd never walk again. He taught himself to talk, to walk. But at the end of his talk, he shows this video of his dad coming up to him at a fence where it separates the athletes from the spectators. And he shows you this writing that he put on the wall when he was 13 years old. He wrote in his garage wall at home, I will become an Olympic champion.
Yeah.
And his parents were really cross and wanted him to remove it at one point, but they left it there. And his dad came up to him at the fence wanting to hug him. He's crying, saying, you wrote it on the garage wall and it came true.
Gee, was that?
And I mean, that's actually how simple life can be.
Yeah.
We often complicate things. And
It's true if you want to do this, and then I suppose the knock-on effect is that when you get those goals, if you do them annually, the ones that you do get, and that encourages you then to go further and get. So it's about bringing happiness to yourself.
You asked me what I write as my goals, and I break them down into spiritual, family, friends, and financial, and health.
Oh, health
5
as well.
things. Yeah, because health is the most important thing.
So the Pilates, is that on your health
that's
list?
a new thing. That's a new thing. So
I've been doing that. That's been great.
Yeah.
It's
You said you've been doing it for a while.
a little while. Your core strength. I'm not doing as much.
That was my second lesson today. So
Excellent.
it's we've got to stick with it and conquer. As you get older, you've got to push yourself to do things that you're not comfortable doing. And sometimes
And consistent. You've got to be consistent about
with
it,
everything
eh?
in life.
Isn't it-
Everything
isn't
in
it
life is actually quite simply stick to things. And like when we say consistency, like goals every year, it's consistency. Look at it every day. It's consistency.
So
do certain things that instill habits in your life, and it's simple things like that.
I think and
Simple things that we never taught at school,
yeah,
which are actually life-changing things.
yeah. Just because I suppose you see it in black and white, and you keep on looking at that. These are your goals for this year. Hey, like I've got to get going on this. Let's do this, and if you to get there, do this.
I'm not an academic person, and I've managed to cope well in life afterwards. And I look at the pressures of our young people nowadays coming through the education system. The opportunities that exist for them out there are challenging. It's a challenging world. And we need to be gearing children for something very different. And it sits in there.
The entrepreneurial
minds,
thing.
Not in the books.
It's almost the entrepreneurial spirit that we need to nurture, because especially our kids as well. We need to look at entrepreneurial stuff. There's no jobs in the government. There's no jobs in things. You can't rely on that stuff anymore. In a I don't know, in England or
there's no handouts.
In the States, there's
no retirement.
Yeah, there's none of that stuff. The corporate structures are also different now. The corporate people that are hiring for corporates are looking at everything in a different way. So it's we've got to nurture that entrepreneurial spirit in our kids. Try and get it.
In a way, I'm glad I'm not young right now,
Yeah.
But with the access that children have to information now, I think it's an extremely exciting time. Yeah, I mean, AI is the hot new
Jeez,
thing.
like, is
So
AI
what-
coming
what-
in property?
What is that going to do? Yeah, it's coming into everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm busy doing a business plan, and I think I sat on ChatGPT till it asked me to pay for the new version, the upgraded
You're gonna wait
version.
until tomorrow.
But I've pulled a lot of information
Yeah,
out
of
of it,
course.
and I've used ChatGPT quite
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to change every
I
landscape.
mean, there's so many of
Doesn't
them
matter-
with this whole everything.
It's not going to replace us,
No.
but it's going to change our
Yeah.
landscape significantly. And
Yeah.
I don't think we know what it's going to do a year or 2 years from now,
Yeah.
because this thing is morphing so quickly.
It is, and it's getting better and better. Like, I mean, I know the one. There was an article I saw the other day where the journalist said he used 3 different, AI, sort of AI programs or apps, and he asked them the same question: was give me a list of South Africa's most famous sports people, most famous sportsmen, sportswomen. And it came up, one of them came up with Nelson Mandela being the most famous sportsman. And Oscar Pistorius was the other one. It's like okay.
Oscar made it to some fame,
He did, but
Maybe in the
it's
wrong
like
way.
notorious
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
So it doesn't get those things yet. It's getting there, but it's not going to take long, and it's already getting quite crazy.
We don't know where it's going.
I know.
And where the world will be in 10 years from here, 5 years from here. So as our youngsters come into the workplace, we always worry about, are they going to become obsolete? Is there a need for them?
The jobs that they do.
And I think everything just changes in the way in which they work. I don't believe that AI and computers are going to just take away jobs. So I think as parents, though, we've got to be very selective as to what we guide our children into doing. And the more thought you can give to what direction you push them into, to sustain it in the future, I think is a crucial thing for us as parents now.
For sure.
And do we have all the answers? No.
No. And do you think there's going to be some sort of saturation of social media, all this internet stuff happening, this world that you get drawn into, this social media world that you get drawn into?
I'd hate to comment because I'm not a big social media person, but I think it is quite frightening if you look at the context of AI and social media and how these machines and algorithms are learning everything about you. They know what you're interacting with, what you're shopping for, what you're looking at, even what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is that a safe place to be?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does it take an element of you away? And where's it going? What's the purpose? And I can't answer that. I don't know. I've never sat and given that some thought. I could do one day with maybe getting on a yacht and thinking about this for a few months and contemplating it all, because
it's like this. It just gets so saturated, and so you get so drawn into that surely it's going to be a case of people just switching off completely. Eventually, I don't know.
You can't switch off. I'm fortunate that I've got the discipline to not engage with social media a lot, but it's like a drug. People become addicted to it.
It's a common trait that with the guests that I've had on, because I know we sometimes put their own social media on, and we broadcast from there as well. But that CEOs, directors of companies, the higher level management are generally not on. They might be on LinkedIn. But they're not on Facebook. They're not on.
You almost
Instagram.
don't want to be.
Yeah.
Do
you think it's company policy? I haven't even checked that out.
Maybe with certain. I don't have that, but as it is, I live a stressful life.
Yeah.
I've got to deal with certain things that are not pleasant.
Yes.
Is social media an escape mechanism for me? No, it's not. I don't want to escape. I escape with doing some exercise and
Is that how you deal with stress? How do you deal with stress?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm quite disciplined with dealing with stress, and I am quite an introvert in certain ways, and I can deal with it. I was at boarding school all my life, so you learn to process things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say exercise and having certain habits that wake up early, get the exercise done. Sometimes get a little afternoon session too. So not all hard stuff. I mean, paddle, the new golf. I mean,
Yes,
even
hey,
old man's paddle, old man's
Patrick
tennis.
Greer we had on last week. He was pedaling paddle.
Yeah, it's a great
And it's a
social
good
thing.
sport.
It's wonderful.
Any sport I think gets you, and particularly I find running is great for my
Yeah, you're
mind.
a big runner. Yeah,
I like the
I think from the days I used to run, what I think is wonderful about running is it's cheap. It's a pair of tackies that you flatten once in a while.
Yeah.
But you get good exercise in a very short time. To do the same thing with cycling, for a half an hour run, you need to go and cycle for an hour and a half to 2 hours to get the same workout. So I think running is great, but unfortunately, due to injuries and maybe age, it's not the age thing, but it's it's not something I'm supposed to be doing. So
Once
stay clear.
Once your knees go, things it becomes a bit hectic.
And it's not for you.
But like I just found it interesting that a lot of these guys and a lot of the tech savvy guys as well. You find programmers, guys that are doing coding, they're not on social media. So
maybe they know more than us.
They know, there's something there. There's something there for sure.
Maybe they know a little bit.
Yeah. I said, how would Philip was asking questions here? How would you advise young people to get into the property market? That's such a thing. Everybody asks is like, how are my kids going to get into the property?
It's a very good question, because you do hear that some of the youth, and I'd say more your millennial generation, are more after life experiences than gaining and putting money into assets like a property, etc. And yes, I think try and find a happy ground. Life experiences are crucial. Yeah. But at the same time, in a country like South Africa, we referred to it earlier, there is no retirement fund that's going to look after you.
Yeah.
So you need to look after yourself, and you have to have a place to stay. So you're going to be paying rent.
Yeah.
And there's lots of research out there to go and look at. I know there are certain financial experts that will challenge me on this.
Yeah.
But go and crunch the numbers as to what it would cost you to buy, what it would cost you to rent, spend it over a time.
Mm-hmm.
Get into the property market as soon as you can.
As soon as you can, yeah.
As soon as you can. As soon as you can, and potentially don't go and get 100% bond. I always say to people, try and put something down, like a 10%. Try and save something that you can put a little bit of a deposit down. The banks are still quite aggressive with giving 100% bonds.
Okay.
But try and put some skin in the bone. In the bone to get a little bit of leeway if the interest rates. So you've got to account for, like we came through our extremely low interest rates of 2022, and where we had significant decreases and people were jumping, first time buyers were jumping into the market. Then we saw a spike, and we're now sitting with a lot of people in distress.
Okay.
And so do the numbers very carefully. Anticipate this is South Africa. Numbers can change, interest rates can still go up. What's the environment we're looking at right now? We've come through we've actually just had another decrease last week, 0.25% decrease. We were all hoping, or not we all, I think I was quite optimistic that we'd potentially see maybe 0.75, even a percent this year.
Yeah.
And having been in America, where they're saying, no, we're tightening the screws, and we very often mirror America. Yeah. You're starting to hear different tunes here, so I think we're not going to see what we thought. And I think we're going to have to get used to operating in this type of environment. Yeah. The pity is that you've got lots of South Africans that are totally indebted. So we've got consumers under pressure. Everything's just escalated, food prices, petrol prices, everything. And then you've got the interest rates, so your credit cards that you maxed out on, your home loans, your cars. So be wise, watch your pennies, but get into the property market sooner than later.
Soon as you can, as opposed to paying rent.
Really. And it's not because I'm in the industry, it's been kind to me. And go and do your research. The research is there. It's not like you need to only talk to an estate agent. You can do the research yourself before getting an estate agent to guide you into what you need to go buy. But the internet is a marvelous place with a wealth of information. So go and do the numbers carefully, and I don't think you'll look back in the long run. It's not a short-term thing; it's a long-term thing.
Sure. I mean, the fastest growing places along the coast, I think, are Mossel Bay and George's.
Particularly Mossel Bay has seen a huge growth, but it's actually almost saturated now.
Already.
So there's very little land left that has services that they can grow into. So, the city just keeping up with infrastructure is a problem.
So the infrastructure is very important.
The infrastructure is a problem, I think, in most parts of South Africa. How fast can your municipalities put the bulk services in to allow for expansion of the cities or towns? But that whole, I don't know what you'd call that.
Garden route.
That portion, Mossel Bay, Hartenbos, and into George has been growing for a long time. But Mossel Bay has seen a huge surge, and people, more upcountry people that are moving there. It's very much a cultural thing, so it's Afrikaans people. And it's a beautiful quality of life again. So,
Mossel Bay. And then, of course, coming right that way down to St. Francis and J Bay is just expanded as well.
So J Bay has also had a huge influx of people from up country. But St. Francis, I mean, you've got a property there.
Beautiful.
I mean, we've got an office there, and we've just seen exceptional movement and growth, and that's coming from all over. That's coming from Cape Town, Joburg, a lot of Natal people. It is generally your more wealthy people that are looking for quality of life, and actually a lot of people that are relocating permanently, that are working and living from there remotely. So the town has got its own challenges too, infrastructural problems. We know the roads are stickened. So
there is some improvement.
The residents are starting to do it themselves, and I think that's what you find about South Africans. That's wonderful. We make a plan. We'll fix things ourselves, and I think coming back to PE, that's what we need to do. We can't always rely on the municipality to do things. We need to come together as residents. St. Francis has done that. Ratepayers associations pay extra rates, put the right people in place, and get the things taken care of, because currently our municipalities are dysfunctional and they can't take care of the basic needs of the residents, and we've got to take the matters.
So it's elections this year. We've got to put the vote in the right place as well. I just see Elbury Sampson on there, and a couple of comments there. Let's have a look here. Marijn van Eden, Marijn Moss. Good evening. Oh, nice to have you on as well, Marijn. She's lovely. And then Jan Botha says, PE is the best city in SA. I'm with you, Jan.
We agree.
We are totally in agreement.
Cape Town is beautiful, and it's lovely to go and visit it. 2 days.
2 days, and it's fun. Do the wine farms and come back.
Love it there, but
so you grew up in the Free State on a farm. Farm boy, working there.
Parents still live on the farm. My brother is living on the farm.
What kind of farm? What do you farm there?
Mainly poultry.
Chickens,
but they run quite a lot of cattle and sheep. On the border of Lesotho. There's actually a border post.
What
through our
town is it?
It's between a town called Vicksburg, which is cherry country. So that's where a lot of the cherries come from.
Nice. Okay.
The fruit cherry.
Cherries. I knew the other cherries.
Not the other cherries. And there's a little border post called Pekkerbrug, and that's where my parents and my brother still live.
So it's really in the Gamadulas there.
In the Gamadulas.
In the lollies.
And like I say, it was this little English enclave. Of
Okay.
Gumtree, the place was called.
Gee
so
whiz.
Lots of gum trees like our main road.
Okay. Lovely, man. The blue gums.
Beautiful part of the world. Nice to go visit, but nice to leave when it gets cold. I love that lifestyle that farming offers. I'm not a farming type of person, but having gotten a lot older, you start to often reminisce and think it's somewhere I could go back to, but I think in South Africa,
You-
I could never go and live on a farm.
No.
It's just purely security.
Yeah, okay.
But I could live in a smaller place.
Does it feel like a home when you go back to the farm?
I think home is always home. Even
Is it?
though I was at boarding school from a very young age,
Yeah.
going back to the farm is home.
And boarding
It's
school.
the bedroom that you always stayed in, and
Yeah,
so
so that's what's about it,
Yeah.
and the feeling of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's always going to have that.
it's always that's what you reminisce on home. Eh?
And boarding school, views on that. I always ask when guys have been in boarding school, a lot of the guests have been on, you know. What do you
So my parents didn't have a choice.
think? Okay.
You know, being on a farm, they did the best they could for me.
Yeah.
They sent me to the best boarding schools that they could afford, and they did everything to get us to really good schools. Like
Okay.
I was at a fantastic school.
Where was that? Where?
We'd arrive in the clapped out combi and push start it while the Oaks were coming in limousines.
Where
We
were
were
you
the
at?
Freestyle
Hilton
farmers. I
or
was at Hilton.
Hilton,
Yeah,
Hilton.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we
very
were the
good.
poor farmers,
You
and
know, okay.
yeah, we had a wonderful group of people there, and I was blessed to be there. But to be very honest with you, having lived here and
Yeah.
having sent my son to Port Elizabeth's Grey College,
Yeah, yeah.
and I look at that school and I'm like, he comes home to me every night. I can influence him. I can share my life with him.
Hey,
I'm so blessed to be able to do that
yeah,
at a fraction of the cost.
yes.
So again, count our blessings. We're just so lucky to live
living
in
a
PE.
beautiful place. Yeah.
We've got everything going for us.
And then, did you work at all? You went to army.
Yeah, I went to the army. I did the Mach, and
Okay, Wehrmacht. That was because you're the same age as me. So I think that was the last year of 2 years.
we were the last year of 2 years. So we did year and a half.
89, 90.
Yeah, so I did whatever it was.
Yeah.
Hard to remember back then.
Yeah.
But we had to see the new intake in, so we didn't do 1 year. We did a year and a half to oversee the new
The new
intake.
intake,
Yeah, so
okay.
we had a bit of a missed year, and
Okay.
then did a little bit of traveling in between, and like
Oh,
I
yeah,
said,
so you went, but did the yachting and stuff. But you you went to study first.
before that I was hitching in Africa, and then came back here to study here. in
Well,
PE.
John, that's the hitching in Africa. That's another story. What's that?
No,
Where in Africa?
myself and my wild mate from the mountains, who bought the yacht.
Oh.
We hitchhiked to Malawi.
What's his name?
Jono.
Jono.
Jono the mountain man.
Jono.
He's still up there in a beautiful place called Simonkong. He's got a lodge right in the middle of the Lesotho mountain,
Wow.
where they've got the highest abseil in the world there. And I must do. I find a lot of Port Elizabeth people don't leave PE
Yeah.
and experience the beautiful country that they live in.
That's true.
And so much of it is right here on your doorstep.
Yes.
And get out there and do it. And
So he's up
even
there.
Lesotho, I say to people, if you've never been to Lesotho, do you like the sound of Africa? And some people are like, yeah, it's a bit wild. And I'm like, no, this is like really safe. And it's just so, it's like Africa.
Yeah.
And Lesotho it's an incredible place. It's incredible people, the culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cold, mountainous country, very isolated and cut off. But
You speak a bit of Sotho.
I speak Sotho.
Is it a
Gabua Sotho.
Litsi.
Lebitso ya ka ke Letsie, which is my name is Letsie. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so I've got a Sotho name.
Because they don't have a lot of clicks in Sotho. It's all especially South Sotho. It's all
that's South Sotho.
softer language.
Much softer, yeah.
And also they always said they were more peaceful people.
They were always the peaceful
Yeah.
African nation.
Because,
And I think
Mushesh,
they're still called the peaceful Africans.
Yeah,
compared to a lot of the other
tribal. If you're looking at a tribal
the
thing,
tribes.
yeah.
The Zulus were always
It was
more
aggressive, aggressive language, to the clicks and the things. Whereas the city was hobu baleha instead of baleka.
You know some of it.
I studied a bit at
did you?
at Varsity, but my Sotho is
At least you
terrible.
remember some of it.
I do remember, but and it's so close to us here, and the mountain people, the little hats and the horses,
The blankets.
the kobo,
Blankets and that little pitched hat.
Yes, I love it.
Horses riding around.
It's
on
beautiful
horseback.
that such a different looking thing, that and so growing up there, army first, then
Then coming
then Africa.
well, that was just a short
Short one.
like a couple,
Crazy.
short couple of months.
With wild men.
Yeah, with wild man.
Beardy mountain man.
That's it. Backpacking.
Gino.
I think I still remember $600, and we went for a couple of months. We hit shocked, some wild stories. But
Okay,
anyway, we won't go
I'm
there.
sure. I'm sure.
And and I ended up coming to PE because it was the one varsity I got accepted. And,
Okay, that was UPE back then.
UPE back then.
Okay,
And
okay.
I was blessed because what a life we lived.
I know.
I mean, like you were saying, we actually spent a little bit longer at varsity
It did.
because it was
Yes, we did. Yeah, I
was
at
great.
it, yes.
it was great.
Philippa's got questions, but I can't read them because they're too small on the screen. So.
Get into a career.
Okay.
career in
So
property.
a career
Yeah.
in property. So if for youngsters that are keen, or for people that are, is it everybody?
Is it
seems
for
to think-
everyone?
Is it?
Yeah. So I think we've answered the question about people buying a property.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you get into a career in property? It's a difficult career to get into because it's one of those rare careers that are not salary based.
Yes, it's commission.
It's a commission based.
Yeah.
So it can be very lucrative if you've got somebody to support you financially and walk you down the road. And when I say support you, generally I would say support you for a year. A lot of people think, the property agents make a lot of money.
Yeah.
They got to work really hard to make the little bit that, well, not a little bit,
Yeah.
it's quite a lot that they charge you when they sell your house, but it's few and far between.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's lots of effort, lots of money that gets spent in that process. So choose a brand that resonates with you, a company that resonates with you, the owner of the business that you feel you can go and latch onto and get the right training.
Yeah.
And then ensure that you've got that mentorship and that you've got the funding.
Do you
from
do
your
this with
parents.
Just Property? Obviously.
Yeah, we
check
provide,
so that-
we
do
provide
you-
all of that.
Do you if someone's an independent,
Yes.
you do your own thing, then and it's what are the advantages of getting involved in something like Just Property, just to get
Yeah, so you've got people that are independent that want to run their own brand and under their own, principleship.
Yeah.
And that's a prerogative. And then you get others that want to be part of a much bigger family and a brand that provides certain things for you, which is what we are. We're a national brand. So again, I don't think as a newbie to the industry, you're not wanting to go and work for an independent because they're not going to provide you anything.
yeah.
You're going to be left to the wolves. And I mean, it really is, it's like a pack of wolves.
Yeah.
Our industry.
Yeah, the estate agent.
Because it's, you're fighting for survival here.
course,
It's
of
not,
course.
you don't get a salary every month. So ensure you've got somebody to support you. Go and find somewhere you can find home. And it can be an extremely rewarding career if you stick with it. So when I say stick with it, generally it's like a 3-year.
Okay.
That's when you start to turn
Wow.
the corner and when you'll start to show some good fruits.
Okay.
And, it's the flexibility. You're going to work really hard, but at least it allows for certain people like mothers,
Yeah.
you can run your kids back and forward. You can set your
Yeah.
appointments around that. So you're
Flexi.
still going to work really hard. People think
Yeah.
it's an easy business. It's not at all. And you're working for yourself, really.
Yeah.
Like, you're in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, set goals. You come in and you want to achieve greatness. You can achieve greatness. It's a blank check that you can write every month. So there's money to be made.
Yeah.
Just coming back from America and of course there it's lots of hype and seeing some of the celebrity real estate guys that
Yes.
the TV personalities and them sharing the type of numbers that they do. I mean it's massive, and like even here you've got some real estate people that are doing very, very well, but in general I think like many businesses you've got 80% that don't do well and 20% that do well.
Yeah.
And again I think it's the people that have the right state of
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, and also just the ability to keep at it. Like if you
Tenacity.
fail,
You're going to fail. You're going to get let down. You're going to get punched, and that's life. It's not just a real estate thing. We're gonna get let down. We're going to get knocked down. We're going to have problems. I mean, I've experienced some severe blows in business, but you only fail when you give up.
Yeah.
If you keep pushing on, you will succeed. Guaranteed.
People like to hear that, it's a because it's hard out there. No matter what you're doing, I suppose this relates to anything, it's you're gonna get knocked down. It's a part of the job. It's part of everything, If you're gonna
So
succeed,
this is a business more than any that you need to be geared. You need to have that mental self motivation. If you're not a self-motivated person, you're going to battle in this industry. So if you are not sure that you can be a self-starter, self-motivator, this is not for you. But we all have that capability. If you dig deep, we can all get out there and do it.
I first want to know what a day in the life of an estate agent is. I mean, I see them on Sundays, kum, 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 knocking in the in the signs for the show houses and things. I mean, you guys got the office. It's main road warmer.
Yes,
you guys,
our office here in
big
Piggy's in Main Road Warmer. We've also got one in Circular Drive. So if I was to try and place myself in the shoes of an estate agent, which I haven't been for more than 20 years, tools have changed, the way we work has changed, everything's online. But one of the most important things is networking and making contact with the people staying in touch with people. So, yes, if you're networking and you've got the people that are reaching out to you, hey, this person's selling their property. So you're continuously trying to find, this is what makes this business extremely difficult. Is if I own a spa like Pete, I get my stock and I sell it.
Yes.
As in I buy my stock in and I sell it. An estate agent has nothing when he starts. He's got to go find his stock and then he's got to try and sell it. So that percentage that they negotiate with sellers is a very fair percentage if you take all the effort and the work that is involved with getting rid of it. Coming from America, they were saying that 80% in a recent research of consumers are more than happy to pay the price that the estate agent charges, which is generally a 5%, if we look at international standards. So you look at it, the value of your house, you think, it's a lot of money. But remember, it's one shot. So the average estate agent in South Africa sells a house every 2.2 months. So you start breaking that down into the income potential, your average estate agent does not make a lot of money. So they're going to be trying to find leads. They're going to be trying to find properties, because that's what you're looking for, is stock. And then going and listing it and guiding people in the price, the valuing of a property. And then it's the online stuff of listing these things onto the portals, and then fielding the inquiries and taking people to view the properties and explaining everything about the property to people.
And then sorting out any hassles that come with that as well. It is.
The hassles often come after the fact.
Okay. Right.
But if you've walked the road very carefully, the hassles are eliminated to a certain extent. But I mean, it's very often people's biggest asset. So it's a big transaction.
It's a huge
and there's a lot of minefields there that people don't realize. There's lots of things that can go wrong with a property transaction.
And that's why you're talking about earlier, again, coming back to where we started with, where you're saying that people that work with you as well need to have that EQ to be able
Dealing with humans.
to deal with humans.
Emotion.
The AI doesn't do that. You can only you can see if someone's reticent, if they really are keen, if they're excited, if they're not excited, if the wife's happy, the husband's not happy. They got to look at all those.
Something like they heard in America, estate agents don't sell homes; they sell life. Life in a home. That's what it's all about.
You grow up
you
there.
create out of it.
What do you think about
Memories.
nostalgia? Because I'm in a situation. I'm buying a place from my brother because he's leaving for overseas, and it's our family home. So
It's an emotional thing.
Do you just sell it and be done with it, or like you've got this thing like that's where I grew up? I can't sell that. I can't do that.
Sure.
When do you listen to your heart when you listen to your head?
That's a difficult one for me to answer. Having been a boy that grew up at boarding school and not like close to my family, so it's I don't have that emotional sort of setback to me. So my first thing would be to look at the numbers and it must make logical sense. And if it doesn't make logical sense, why on earth would you want to keep it? So it's just simply that.
I'll talk to you afterwards about that.
Check the numbers out. Are any of your other brothers wanting to hold on to it forever? No, they're moving on. And
sure.
You know, life,
It's like,
unfortunately,
because there's always it's with your heart or with your head, and the obvious answer is your head. You've got to listen. You've got to do it with your
got to
head.
do it with your head. It's financial, and I mean, you know,
Yeah.
referring to the farm that I grew up on.
Yes.
You know, I've had grandfathers that were buried on the farm.
Yes.
Grannies.
What if they wanted to sell that? Now, what if they wanted to sell that, Paul? What about that?
Yeah, my brother's taking over, and he might not live there forever
Yeah,
if his
yeah.
sons aren't going to take over.
Sure.
So, you know, my wife was saying, so what then?
Yes.
You know, what's going to happen with the graveyard? And I said, we can't control that.
Yeah.
That's their choice, and it has to be a logical choice.
Yeah.
It's not an emotional thing.
It is so true.
Sadly.
What about the graveyard,
Sadly.
Paul? What
No.
about the graveyard?
Sadly, you know, we can still visit it, but it won't be
Yes.
looked after, and
Yeah.
you know, you'll always be able to drive past that house and reminisce, and
Sure.
it's not going to disappear, but it might change, you know,
Yes.
aesthetics a little bit. But you're
course.
giving somebody else an opportunity to make a home for their family there.
Is it true
it's
that-
the cycle of life?
That a building, it just changes. It houses different owners all the time. You never really own a piece of land or a building.
It's like your passage through life.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Eventually.
You just
Everything's gonna be forgotten about.
You keep moving.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't know if there are any more comments there as well. What do you love
What do
most
I
about
love
your
about
work?
my
Yeah,
work?
just put it on the notepad, and then you can, so that we can see these things. I've got.
Luckily, I'm farsighted.
Can you
so
check?
I can
I've
see it,
got my contacts on here. I'm checking. Yeah.
I think I'd more than anything say, you know, work is part of my life. It's something I get up to and I go and do every day.
Yeah.
And I love my life. I love the opportunity to do what I'm doing. I'm blessed to have everything I have, a wonderful family, the business I've got, the franchisees I've got, the agents we've got, the staff we've got.
Yeah.
It's just, I've got to have gratitude for
Yeah.
it. So I love every day.
Things have gone well though.
And there's moments, like I said, there's challenges where you want to give up. And I had something terrible happen to me last year, and I'm not going to elaborate on it.
Yeah.
And you challenge yourself mentally a lot about, is this something I'm supposed to be doing? Or should I pack in?
Yeah.
And it's that tenacity to keep pushing on that makes you who you are. And that's one thing, I've never given up on anything. So, you know, you got to shake yourself off and get up and go. And without the good people around me, I couldn't do that. So what I love about my work is the people around me. You know, my family, the people around me, the friends I've got, the
Relationships.
city I live in, the relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, just life. I love it.
It's so true that all of us get into a situation where you just feel like there's no, like, this is everything. This is all consuming. You know, this problem. And
There's no light at the end of the tunnel.
But that's just a rule that's in your head. You know, you've made these rules up. There are no rules.
There's no rules.
Yeah.
We make those rules or we break them.
Yeah.
And sadly, I mean, that's what I've tried to refer to. Our destiny is in our control, and you can change that picture in any way you want.
Yeah.
You know, the canvas is blank. Paint on it what you want in your life. It's not determined by anyone else but you.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, look at one of our greatest people in the world is our leader, Nelson Mandela.
Yeah,
And what he did. And that's an example to all of us. I mean,
Yeah, he must have. Thinking of being in prison and thinking that that's the end. Because if you look at it, history in that sort of way, when you're in the middle of it, you can't see the end. It's like he's in jail in Robben Island. He cannot see. He's going to die there. You know, when you're there was a letter I read the other day of a journalist who was in France, a French journalist during the German occupation, which was 3-4 years or whatever it was in the 40s. So the Germans had just taken over France, and it was Germany.
Yeah.
So he's writing this from a perspective of like, hang on, this is forever now. You know, we are now going to be German, and this is.
yeah. And look at how that changed.
But so you've got to think to yourself, this is not going to stay the same like this.
Nothing is constant.
Nothing is constant.
It's
You're
always
right.
changing.
And the rules are in your head.
The engagement is up to us, no one else.
So right, you're so right.
Don't let the world and everyone else poison you.
No,
sits between our ears, and we can take it in any direction.
It's true. I love that. Now we've got a section of the show. We're really done. It's really over an hour. We've been chatting,
Sure.
I'm going to do a what we do call the getting to know you section now, which is a bit of strange
there's
questions.
still more.
No, we just chat now. This
I
is
thought
just
you
the
got to
chat.
know me already.
No, we dig.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you.
That's the one. Okay, so there's a little intro to that. Okay, so the biggest risk that you've ever taken.
Your little notepad there, I read before.
Right.
So
Yes.
I tried to allude to some of the
Yes.
questions.
Okay.
So I'd say probably the biggest risk was trying to sail to Madagascar and having a horrific first night out at sea when we didn't have a clue.
I mean, what experience did you have before you did that?
Very little.
Really?
I'd sailed on a boat here as a crew member.
Yeah.
So we'd never. I was basically now.
Did you travel long distances like that or not?
Yeah, well, we went up to Bazaruta.
Oh,
which was,
Beirut. No, I was saying before.
Oh no! Yeah, we'd sailed like around the bay here. We'd done a lot of races, and I think the longest trip I'd done was to Cape St. Francis. We did a race with Anthony Adler.
Yes.
We'd sailed Algoa Bay week in his boat, and we split the keel. I think the first race day in Algoa Bay week, and we had to rush into the harbour to have it lifted out.
Oh, my soul.
And we
It's
thought,
leaking.
okay, that's the end of the race.
Yeah.
Then Anthony bought himself a new boat.
Is Anthony still around? He's still around. He's still around PE.
He's still around. He's still
Because he had the
absolute-
framing business,
He's an
eh?
absolute legend, yeah.
Yes, I've got to have him on the show as
An
well.
incredible human being.
Somebody tag Anthony Adler, please. I've got to have him on the show. He's been
Incredible
around PE for so long.
An
So,
incredible human being. And then he bought a new boat, and we started the race to St. Francis.
Yeah.
And it was a Friday evening. And most of us crewing on the boat were windsurfers. So we knew the coastal stretch, Flat Rocks where they used to have the roadhouse.
Yes, Flat Rock Roadhouse, yeah.
And we were going very close inshore. And we were
Thunderbolt Reef.
No.
it?
This was just the flat
Okay,
reef.
the flat.
Thunderbolt Reef was near Hobie.
Oh, is it?
That's
Is
the
that
one that
where-
we struck when we broke the keel.
Oh, Lord, you did
So
that.
now we're going very shallow, and we said to Anthony, we're going very shallow. The next thing,
Oh!
luckily it was just ground onto a flat,
Okay.
shallow reef, and we eventually sort of rocked the boat off it as the
My
tide
soul.
came in.
You like rocking that boat?
And then we threw anchor off Hobie Beach, and one of the crew members' mother worked for KWV, so we had a case of Obies.
Oh, lovely. That wasn't Olga Hafner's son, was it?
I can't remember what his name was. So we drank the case of Obies, and now we were brave. So we radioed the port and we said, "Can we come back into harbour to start the race? We're not taking water." So I said, "Fine." So we went back into the harbour, started the race, and headed off out of the bay, and everyone ended up being terribly sick.
Oh, no, of course, yes.
But that was the longest sailing experience I had
that
before
you
trying
had
to take
before.
the boat to
And then you
Madagascar.
took it to...
Well, we didn't go to Madagascar. We
Madag-
didn't get to Madagascar. We got up, almost 2,000
Because
miles up the
Madagascar,
coast.
you go out from Durban, then you hit like the proper, the Mozambique current or
in
whatever
the
it is.
channel,
eh?
Mozambique channel.
That channel is like huge waves and things.
Yeah, even I think probably the most frightening thing was the first morning we were out, and we'd had this wild storm that night.
Aye.
So you haven't slept, and there's this thick fog, and now you can hear this big drone of a ship.
Oh, where's it? Oh, no.
And you've got no radar, so you can't see it, and you all start to panic. The three of us that don't know anything, and unleash the life raft, get the life vests on, and there's a foghorn on the boat. We start blowing that.
Oh, my soul.
And then we slowly heard this thing. We didn't ever see it, but we could hear it coming past us, and they were all probably sitting on the boat laughing at us.
Oh, my word. 'Cause
Or they didn't even hear us or see us.
Oh, my God, because you don't know if they can even see you, man. It's such a big boat.
I mean, the sailing was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the traveling I did, and I mean, I was teaching English in a Thai refugee camp on the border of Myanmar.
Wow.
And while I was there, I think it was my second week I was in there, we were attacked by the armed soldiers, and they took all the women. They left the women and children, and it was myself and another English teacher. They took all the men across the border. They burnt everything down to the ground.
Oh my soul.
And I think that was quite an emotional.
Did they leave the
time.
foreigners then?
It was only myself and one other guy. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They left us, and they took all the men and boys,
Yeah.
and they left the women and the children
For army, so they're going to go and join them.
to be shot soldiers,
Those
or
Tamil tigers or-
shepherders, or whatever they were, and
Was it Tamil? I don't know.
yeah, and
those
just
guys-
getting to understand the whole culture of what had happened there, and I mean, it was, I think, coming as a privileged kid,
Yeah.
growing up in privileged means.
Yeah.
To have gone through that experience, I would say was quite a life-changing
Yeah.
moment of realizing, we're very fortunate to have what we have. And I think in this country, you actually realize it more than anywhere else. It happens all around us. So it's quite sad that I had to leave this country to go and realize what it's about, where it's around us here every
What's
day.
important and what's not, hey?
Yeah, it's around us every day.
So we haven't touched on the fact that you met your wife on the boat as well, so Andrea. So where was that? How did that come about? Was she working on the boat as well?
Yeah, it's quite funny. We were working on separate boats. I was on a boat that was not really going anywhere. We were working on it. We had a Chilean photographer owned this boat.
Oh, okay.
And we were supposed to be moving the boat down to Chile, and it was never happening. So we'd often have parties on a Friday afternoon, and I'd enjoy a couple of beers on the boat, then we'd go out. And I always had this South African friend from Cape Town who was always saying, no, I've got this crew member from Slovakia that I think you must meet. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'd come through a bad relationship, and I was like, no, I'm having a jaw.
Yes, yeah.
Whatever.
Not interested in
so
that.
I was standing with a beer, waiting for my cab to go into town to go draw. And this girl from Cape Town, Coral, pulls up in her crew car and says, oh, don't you want to lift? So I jump in the back, and Andrea's sitting in the front. We go to this, it's a sailor's pub.
Okay.
Like
Sailor's pub.
Well, it's a yachty pub.
Where did you meet your wife? At a sailor's pub.
Yeah, so we met in the car, but we took no notice because she's like, yes, who's this?
Yeah.
With a beer in his hand.
Oh, right.
Disgusting.
Honestly.
So somehow by default we ended up standing next to one another and chatting, and she was like, okay, he's not such an arsehole. And then
Lucky you.
yeah, lucky me. And the rest was history. And then we ended up working together on a yacht after I'd been to South America and she'd been in the Caribbean, and we ended up.
So you still kept in touch then?
We kept in touch.
I think that's
we
the
went
secret
our
then.
own ways. Yeah, never give up, huh?
Yeah. So if you got on well,
That
you
was
found this girl that you liked, and then you kept on going back there.
That's it, huh? If there's a connection, the connection never leaves.
And as you stayed here in South Africa, obviously her family over there, she's still got.
Yeah, she's Slovakian,
So,
or
yeah.
like a lot of South Africans don't quite know Slovakia. It was the previous Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
What I quite love about her country is the culture there, I would say, is very similar to our Afrikaans people.
Yeah.
Very tight family units.
Okay.
Everything's about the family. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's like never having grown up with boarding
Close
school. I've got a
family.
close family, but it's not, it's
Yeah.
developed later. When you at boarding
Yeah.
school, you don't quite see it. So it's been a beautiful thing for me to see, and for us to hold close to our hearts, I think, with our kids.
And so you also have that.
But
close
there it's an
family.
extended family.
Yeah.
Whereas here, like in PE, we don't have family.
Yeah.
I've got one cousin and his family, and other than that, we don't have all our extended family, which I think was extremely hard for her when we moved here. We had a child on the way.
Yeah.
That's what brought us back to South Africa to settle when we left the yachting.
And she was okay to come across. I mean, it must have been hard for her.
It must have been extremely hard. It was. Yeah. It must have. It was extremely hard. Yeah.
Yes, oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
I actually remember that now. I forgot about that.
Forgot about
We
that.
were actually in antenatal
Same
together.
antenatal class, up the road here with Helen Ward.
Helen Ward.
Yeah.
Oh my word, I'd actually completely forgotten about that. Paul.
Yeah, no, I'd also forgotten it.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was when it was happening then. And she was here, new people, new
life.
world.
Yeah, new world.
And you'd also moved from Free State
From
to
a
here.
different place, so we never had anyone to support her. It wasn't like a stepmother or anyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Where were
she-
you
she
working
dealt
back then?
with it.
Was it just property then, or was
No, so I came back, and obviously we'd had a little bit of money that was just disappearing month by
rapidly?
month, and I kept. We had a stockbroker on satellite phone when we were on the yachts, and we were making money, so he was investing it, and So I had, I forget what his surname was, but Chris from Merrill Lynch. And I was like, Chris, listen, we need to sell. We already lost, I think it started 80%. By the time we left, I think it was close to 20% of the portfolio. I was like, okay, that's enough for me to start a business.
Okay.
And I started a photographic studio, a digital photographic studio called Picture Perfect, where we had makeup artists, photographers, graphic artists. It was quite a setup, and it bloomed for about 2 years. And then
I remember the name.
Yeah, and then my daughter was getting old enough, and Andrea was starting to tweak herself into the business. So I said, no, I want to get into property now.
Okay.
And I never looked back.
So you started. Who did you join back then?
I started just letting then.
Just letting. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we started as, was just letting. That's we were the letting people.
Yes.
When nobody else wanted to do it.
It's a pain in the arse.
It's a pain in the arse. It's tough work for lots of little bits of money.
Yeah.
But to be very honest, it was a wonderful, in hindsight, strategic thing to do, which we didn't quite know. Nobody else, like I say, wanted to touch rentals. So a lot of your big names here just gave us their rentals because it was a pain in the arse.
Yes.
And then I think when the market turned in 2009, they were all 2010.
Where's my letting
They were
guys?
scrambling for it because it's got an annuity form of income that comes in. And,
Yes, of course.
we've, I think, steadily chipped away, and we've run probably the biggest rental book in the country. So that's our foundation, and we've then built on that with sales and the easier ways of making money.
Yes.
But our skill and what we never lose sight of is the foundation that we've set.
Never lost that.
The big rock. Yeah.
Did you take a lot of the people from just letting? Did Just Property then envelop?
Yes.
Just letting, or did you start it yourself? Or
no? So a lot of our people from just letting, we then started selling the idea of, no, you've got the infrastructure, so start recruiting sales agents and start doing sales and start doing commercial. So now we're a typical real estate.
So you've literally built this company from that letting.
No, so from the letting side of things, there was a guy who worked for Trafalgar, Raoul Norden. He started it in Joburg.
Trafalgar. Okay.
Yeah, so he started the first franchise, and then I bought PE, and then he built it to a few franchises, and the wheels were falling off. And he called a couple of us that were key players in our regions to buy regions. So we bought regions, and then before I knew it, I got into a bit of development here in PE, which I'd sold off a storage facility, and I was in the sort of process of not really knowing what to do, and I got roped in to run the company. Before I knew it, I was
national CEO.
I was the main shareholder, and I got involved a little bit over my head, but we're in it. We love it.
It's never over your head. I think everybody feels that.
There are moments where you feel that, and I think that's just normal.
Yeah.
And again, it's how we handle these things and how we deal with them and how we move on.
You wouldn't have survived if you couldn't do it.
No. There have been the moments, though.
I'm sure.
But we're here and we're loving it.
Your perspective of the world over time, how's it changed since, would you say?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't think I wanted to answer that. I'll answer that
you
one.
can leave it.
Because I think it's crucial because, our perspective does change as we become older.
Yeah.
And I certainly think what we value in life changes as we become older.
Yeah.
And the one thing I can say to everyone is your health and your family.
Yeah.
Those are the two most important things. If you don't have your health, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
But your family is everything else around that.
Yeah.
And the rest is peripherals.
Yeah.
It's business, it's jobs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's take care of those two things.
Yeah.
And the earlier you can start taking care of them, the better.
Yeah. But we were talking about earlier that a lot of people have got small friends groups, small family and friends groups, and those are the core people. I think that's a lot of people. I know a lot of people because
you're out there.
I'm always out there. I'm on stage. I'm doing stuff. But your core family and your friends are the people that when things go wrong, you've got those people to fall back on.
Yes.
And so you have to have that core.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a small group of true friends.
Yeah.
We've all got lots of acquaintances and we all know lots of people, But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's when the poo hits the
Yes,
fan.
exactly.
Who's going to step in there? And it's
Exactly.
wonderful to have those sort of friends and that type of family around you.
Okay, two more. Your biggest adrenaline rush.
I would probably say we had a poker club many years ago.
Oh dear.
No, it's not going to.
Okay.
We've done things like the whitewater rafting on the Zambezi
Okay,
and
right, yeah.
getting thrown out every rapid.
Jeez, like.
Because we wanted to ride the Titanic and the guys were
Yes.
gung ho. But
Oh,
no,
right, right.
that wasn't it. We
Yes.
went to Sun City and there was a zip line. I think it was the longest at that point.
Okay.
Where they strap you in almost like
Oh,
those
my soul,
white
yes.
suits, and you're facing forward. And I think it was I forget the speed, but it was like about a 1.6 k's, and you pick up I think close to 170 k's an hour down there. Which is, I mean, I'm scared of heights, but it was like incredible. That
Adrenaline.
and my mate's lodge that I was saying to
The
everyone,
mountain man.
the mountain man.
Jono.
So he
Somebody tagged Jono, the mountain man.
so they've got the highest single drop waterfall in the southern hemisphere there, the Malutsunyani Falls.
Wow.
And he had to have a custom built rope.
Yeah.
They built an abseil off the falls, so it's 260 meter abseil off the falls. So you're just to the side of the water, it's spraying you.
Wow.
And being scared of heights.
Yeah.
Yes. Your knees are going like this, and you don't even have to hang on to it. It's got like gears that you use. But I was clinging onto those ropes. So yeah, I've had a few moments.
Okay.
My staff threw me out of an aeroplane.
Soul.
For my 50th. That was quite frightening.
Ways. That's just before COVID. Or just
Yeah,
after COVID.
it would have been just before COVID.
Yeah.
Just before COVID. Yeah.
Lordy.
So I mean, it's not like I step out of my way to do
crazy
adrenaline
things.
but we live once, so
You're gonna do it.
Don't go and kill yourself, but go and have fun.
Oh, my soul. Okay, and let's see the last one. A career highlight, and a career something, a time when something's gone wrong, and then a career highlight. Or it doesn't have to be a career highlight. It can be a life highlight. I'll open it up for you.
I think I'd stick to a life highlight because, and again, it's going to come back to what I was referring to, family. I think it's meeting the wonderful woman that I married.
Yeah.
And just,
she's a stick of dynamite.
Being blessed to have her by my side. That's what has been everything for me. So I would say that a partner, and I think everyone needs a partner. There's no successful man without a successful woman by your side, or even better woman by your side. They make us who we are. So
it's true.
Yeah, I think I'm
it's
very
that person in the trenches with you.
Very blessed. I'd say that's been my career and my life highlight.
Yeah.
It's just marrying the right person, having two wonderful children, and still being blessed to be healthy and to be able to get out there and do the things we love to still do.
Bit of cycling and
this morning, the sunshine.
Yeah,
it's just lovely. I mean, we were up there at Lovemore Heights this morning.
Beautiful.
The sunrise. It's
beautiful. Where's your favorite place to ride?
I would say the valley here is because it's quick and easy. Then Crossways is beautiful.
Crossways, the Patagills out there. We're just talking about the Patagills. And Crossway is beautiful.
Beautiful. On our doorstep, Like in Cape Town, they've got to drive that far to just get close by.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
For us, it's down the way.
Favorite restaurant, B? Have you got one? I know you can't really be, but it's the moment.
I'm a Burki in this way that I'm a steak person. So I like, and I've got, with my traveling for business, I do get to fortunately sit and eat in some nice restaurants. So I like nice aged meat.
Okay.
And there used to be one here in Warmer Main Road.
Yes.
Near where
the Wagyu one.
Where Vitello was at the back there.
Yes.
And they disappeared.
Yes.
Farmer's son who operated, I forget what his name was.
I can't remember the name of the place.
No, I'd say it's still Hussar Grill or Backstreet Grill.
Hussar,
and Hussar, I can see Hussar, people are cutting onto good steaks in PE because Yeah,
busy
my
there.
son came back from Longabon this weekend and we went there and it was like they've expanded, it was
Yeah,
full,
okay.
and it's like, okay, it's nice
Yes.
to see. It's lovely to
I
see.
think
the
Keith
business
Furey's
is doing
involved there
well.
somehow as well.
I don't know
Yeah,
who's there, but getting a good steak.
Great steak
I
there.
mean, I can cook a steak at home, but it's always much nicer.
And Backstreet also
very
a
good.
lekker one. Eh?
Very
You know what? I haven't been to Backstreet for a long time. I think
Yeah.
it's time I actually gave it a go.
Very good, very
I
good.
would.
And then, I mean, if you love your sushi, we're blessed to have
Hey,
suki right
suki.
here. And I
Yeah.
mean, whenever I bring clients from out of other parts of the country, out of PE, they're
Yeah.
always just like, yeah, this is cheap.
Exactly.
This is cheap
Exactly. It's PE. That's
for
the way
really
it
good
is.
sushi. Yeah.
Let's just have a quick look before we go. A couple of the comments there. I see. Let's see who's that. Moraine said Helen Ward, 1996. Absolutely, she's been going.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I don't know where she is.
She's
I think she was in
St
Plet.
George's. She was
not
always at
Plet?
St George's.
Shame she
you
lost
know-
her husband.
There we go. Great to see you, Steve. Anthony, that's from Cape Town side, eh?
Okay.
And I'd never know Anthony's surname because I know him as Anthony World Leisure.
Okay.
Watching from it, he's in Mallorca in Spain at the
Oh,
moment.
wonderful.
As you say, Anthony Just.
Just World Leisure.
Just
yeah.
World Leisure. I
Yeah,
think it's Just
yeah,
World Leisure. It's a part of the Just Property
Yeah,
Group.
no, not quite.
Could be- you know, there's always expansion.
Anthony, my son, will be heading over to that beautiful part of the world, hopefully in a few months, to come and look for work.
Excellent. Well, maybe look out for him. Look after him. Anthony, he's a muso. I know Anthony.
Oh,
is
really?
a muso. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We got to jam together sometime. Anthony.
Wonderful.
Maybe come and play some
You-
Spanish
you-
music.
You know where I escaped to for New Year?
Where to?
Hogsback.
Oh, wow.
We left St. Francis and escaped there for a few days.
Was it a
and
Joel?
you know who I bumped into the first night we were there?
Who's that?
Jorn Allen.
Ah, of course. You go all the way that far.
It was
from-
wonderful
and then,
to see him.
And then you head into a
He
PE
just
boy.
rolled in and climbed the mountain and rolled back down.
I can imagine. I can so imagine.
Yeah, it
You're
was
at
Great
Hogsback.
to see him. He
Lovely.
was supposed to leave the next day, and I think by the third day when we were leaving, the owner of the cottage said, "No, you weren't still around town."
Just Armanel and that. And he's Anthony Just. There we go. I just thought it was Just World, like Just Property. You know what I mean? I would love to come visit and maybe play some Spanish music.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be great, Anthony. And thank you so much.
Only a
It's been-
pleasure.
it's been-
Wonderful to be here and
it's
to share the
been-
evening with you. Thank you for the
Paul,
invite.
what a pleasure to have you on the show, and some fantastic advice, some good insights and goal setting. You say, eh?
And I'm looking forward to hopefully having you on board with our.
I would love, absolutely.
Our awards around the country.
I'm there. We're
Some
traveling
really solid entertainment.
proper.
keep
I'll have to
everyone
bring
laughing.
Dolores with me, you know.
Yeah, one of those
Yes,
characters.
Dolores, because she would have been up to the Free State, to Lesotho, they say. They call it Lesotho.
There you go.
There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsors, of course, Fitch and Leeds, and then also for Amobia, and of course Grace. You're gonna have to take home something for
Food.
yourself and Andrea, and a little bit of Fitch and Leeds for you as well. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Next week we've got.
From the Herald and Tanya.
Oh yes, it's big mountain events. We got
Oh, yeah.
Tanya Jackson, and Julie. They're going to be on next week for because it's Herald. It's Herald cycle time.
Yeah, you would have finished the mountain bike, and it's just before the road.
Before the road, we got. I'm doing the
You're
road
doing the road.
only. I don't worry. You know my legs now. They can't do the mountain bike and the road.
No, you'll
It's
be
gonna
fine.
Too hectic. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Gino.
Relax, sit down. Coming out of PE town. Don't drink, find a shot. Never mind your liver, get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot!
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot!
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your mental. Have a Gino shot.
Gino shot!